Yo, what's going on, guys? Mush back at it with another video, here to continue covering the Steam Summer Sale 2025. And in this video, we will be looking at something I know a lot of you guys aren't a fan of, and that is the more expensive games. We looked at games under $10. Now it's time to go all the way up to games under $20. I know at this price point, a lot of you guys are like, whoa, dude, what are we doing here? You know, spending $11, $12, $15, $19.99 on a game? Yes, I know. With these deals, you have to keep a couple of things in mind. If you don't have the intention on playing the games that you buy from this list, or in this price range in general, in the foreseeable future, it's best off just waiting on them, because at the end of the day, they could end up getting cheaper, they could end up on a humble choice, and that's just the reality of it. Whereas a game that's, you know, $3, $5, it's kind of hit its floor as far as how cheap it could get. Now, obviously, these days, games go free and things of that nature, but for the most part, you know, the $1, $2, $3, $4, $5 games, those games, for the most part, have hit their floor. These games have not hit their floor. That you could say for sure. So, with that being said, a lot of great deals. Let's get right into it. Let's kick things off with Judgment. 70% off for $11.99. You guys, you know, I love the Ryuga Gotoku Studio games, Yakuza, Yakuza Like a Dragon, all that good stuff. But Judgment might actually be the best game to pick up from RGG to start off with for a wide variety of reasons. First of all, if you start off with Yakuza, you have that idea that it's a pretty daunting franchise to get into with a billion games to go through. With Judgment, you have Judgment and Lost Judgment, and Judgment tells a great self-contained story that is just phenomenal start to finish. An incredible narrative, a really likable main character, a great soundtrack, and great action beat-em-up gameplay. PC version ran really, really well, and for $12, I just think this is an outstanding deal. I would strongly recommend it. Judgment is fantastic. Next up, the Dead Space remake is at a historic low of $11.99. I think this deal is fantastic. I really enjoyed the Dead Space remake. Now, it seemed like a lot of people had like some stuttering issues with the game. My experience with the Dead Space remake was mostly like fantastic. No crashes or anything like that. Maybe a stutter here and there, but totally playable start to finish, and had a great time with it. Visuals are great, and as an atmospheric horror title, thought it was pretty well done. Very much on the action-y side as well, but a really, really well done horror game with some psychological themes that I think work really well. $11.99 is great. Unfortunately, Dead Space is a franchise probably getting shelved once again, so it is what it is. $12 for the Dead Space remake. Sonic Frontiers, 70% off for $17.99. I always go to bat for Sonic Frontiers. Look, I think Sonic Frontiers is a phenomenal game, and it's just nice to see Sonic with a lot of positive momentum right now. After the releases of Sonic X Shadow Generations, I thought that was great. Sonic Superstars was pretty decent. You know, Sonic Racing this year looks fairly good, and Frontiers really was a great game that kind of set the foundation for what the future of Sonic could look like in terms of their big budget titles. Thought the open levels were really well done. The soundtrack, as always, Sonic, it should not be allowed for Sonic to have this banger of a soundtrack, but for some reason it does, and yeah, it is fantastic. Highly recommend Sonic Frontiers. Does it have its issues? Sure. I think what Sega has done and the Sonic team has done is laid the foundation of what Sonic could ultimately become, and I think this is a great building point. $17.99, a good price for Sonic Frontiers. Next up, Final Fantasy 15 Windows Edition. 60% off for $13.99. I'm sure some of you guys are sick and tired of my glazing of Final Fantasy 13, so why not glaze one of the other newer controversial Final Fantasy games in Final Fantasy 15. Look, you won't hear me talk ad nauseum about how much I love this game, because I don't. I think, you know, this is one of the most disappointing games that I have ever played relative to my expectations. My expectations for FF15 were very similar to, like, people's expectations of, like, Cyberpunk, and that was kind of the situation that I had with FF15. My expectations were grandiose, following this game for a decade, and what you got was a gorgeous game, a really cool open world, and some great visuals, great soundtrack. However, narratively, which is a big element that I got into this game for, very, very disjointed, kind of just a mess. Now, this edition does have the DLC, which makes it a little bit more cohesive. I would recommend you to pick up Episode Arden as well, which should be on sale. Yeah, it's $1.99, so I would recommend that. But overall, I thought they could have done so much better with the narrative of this game. But there's still definitely fun to be had. I think the combat's really enjoyable, even if it's fairly easy and simplistic. I still think it's a worthwhile game to go through. For $13.99, not a bad pickup for that price point. Next up, Dying Light 2 Reloaded Edition, 67% off, $19.79 on this. Now, Dying Light 2, generally, most people will agree, is not as good as Dying Light 1. I still had a really, really good time with it. From the standpoint of the open world exploration, the combat was still decent, not as enjoyable as Dying Light 1 for me. But I will say, narratively, first half of this game thought it was incredibly compelling from a narrative standpoint. Second half, I thought it just completely fell off a cliff, which was a bummer, but hopefully they get back on track with Dying Light the Beast. Still think it's a very enjoyable game, and even if you want to, explore the open world, maybe listen to a podcast at the same time, I've been big on that train recently. I think it could be a fun game from that standpoint, and the Reloaded Edition does include the Bloody Ties DLC, which is quite nice. $19.79 for Dying Light 2. Next up, Star Wars Jedi Survivor, 80% off for $13.99. One of the worst PC ports, literally, of all time. That is not hyperbole. However, it is much better now. Is it perfect? No, but I will say this. While Jedi Survivor is one of the worst PC ports of all time, as far as a game is concerned, my goodness, it is such a step up from Jedi Fallen Order. From a combat standpoint, the world, the content, I just think this game is better in just about every area. Even narratively, which I know some people were not as high on Jedi Survivor as they were on Fallen Order, I thought the narrative in Survivor was great. I thought the second half was really good. Some of the twists and turns I thought were really well done. Just thought Jedi Survivor was a phenomenal game. Can't wait for Jedi 3. Hopefully, I know there's been some trouble with Respawn and a lot of EA in general. Hopefully, Jedi 3 is a game that's making smooth development progress and we get that game. Maybe 27, I think would make a lot of sense. 4 years after Jedi Survivor, maybe even 2028. Around that range, it'll be a ways away. But $14 for Survivor. Great deal there. Next up, we got Sifu, 60% off for $15.99. Slow clap in the news cycle these days with all of the success of Rematch, which I'm gonna be real with you guys, I did not expect that game to be as successful as it was, but hey, good on Slow Clap. They delivered something that was a huge success, but Sifu was a game I really dug. Now, it is super challenging, but I think from a stylistic standpoint, a gameplay standpoint and combat, it is really, really well done, and the presentation is so unique. The style of the game is fairly unique as well. It is super challenging, so keep that in mind. But yeah, enjoyable brawler, and for $15.99, a little bit on the pricier side. Would like to see this in the $8.99, $9.99 range. I think at that price point it would be great, but at this price point, still worthwhile for sure. Next up, we have a sleeper banger here, A Space for the Unbound, 45% off for $11. This is very much a narrative-driven game, however, incredibly emotional game, and the storytelling in this game and the writing, I just think is absolutely phenomenal. It's not going to be for everyone, and certainly if you don't want a game that will hit the feels, I would not recommend this, and, not everybody's looking for something like this, and no action gameplay, nothing like that, very much a story-driven adventure, but a really, really well-done one, and game didn't get enough love, but it does have 5,800 reviews. The people that played it seem to love it with an overwhelmingly positive reception, 97% positive, but one of the better story-driven games you'll come across, so definitely check that out. Speaking of story-driven games, OPUS, Echo of Starsong Full Bloom Edition is 50% off for $12.49. A gorgeous, gorgeous visual novel, and another one that by the end, it will really, really hit you in the feels. Incredible sound design as well. And again, from a visual standpoint, aesthetic standpoint, the game is just outstanding. Another sleeper of a game, another Opus game is in development, and hopefully that turns out well and it'll get attention, but this one has 8,100 reviews, 96% positive, a 90 on Metacritic. One of those games that hasn't gotten enough attention that it deserves. It's been out for a couple of years now, but definitely recommend that even at $12.49. Another narrative-driven game, Detroit Become Human, 70% off for $11.99. Aquatic Dream games aren't for everyone, but Detroit Become Human, I think, is a game that a lot of people will enjoy, especially with the futuristic setting, futuristic mankind, where androids are in the world. It's an incredibly compelling game from a narrative standpoint, and what I recommend with this game is go into it blind from a decision-making standpoint, just because with a Quantic Dream game, the idea is consequences. You want the decisions to have consequences, and if you streamline that process, I just think that dilutes a lot of the element of the game that is supposed to be emotionally impactful, and that's how I recommend it. You do whatever the hell you want to do, but $11.99 for Detroit, pretty good deal there. Next up, we got God of War 2018, 60% off for $19.99. I do prefer God of War 2018 over Ragnarok. I think 2018 is the more cohesive narrative. I thought Ragnarok, it was good. I really like Ragnarok, but 2018, maybe it was also the newness factor of it shifting the God of War style, because I was a fan of God of War. Like, I like God of War 3, don't get me wrong, but God of War 2018, I thought, like, blew me away, and I thought it was a phenomenal game. The PC port was really good, and the game itself is outstanding. Even for $19.99, heftier price point, easily recommend that. I still remember when God of War 2018 was initially announced for PC, man. What a wild day that was, and, it came out quickly thereafter. I can't believe it's been north of 3 years since God of War got ported, but, yeah, one of the greatest PS4 games of all time. You can make an argument it is the greatest PS4 game of all time, and for $19.99, outstanding deal there. Next up, we got Tetris Effect Connected, 50% off for $19.99. I actually had a friend pick this up recently and play it, and had a crazy reaction to the game. This is certainly one of those games that's a bit, how do I describe it? There's a Jedi quad to it, a little bit of a psychedelic aspect to it. It's a trippy game, let's just put it that way, but incredible soundtrack, incredible presentation. It takes Tetris and amplifies it, it turns it up to 11, and if you're remotely into Tetris, but even if you're remotely into, games just with trippy presentation, the aesthetics are a big focus, and I just think this game is outstanding in that regard. $19.99 is pricey for what is a Tetris game, but I think this one is so unique that it's well worth it. But, if it was $14.99 or $11.99, it would be a super easy recommendation, but still, $19.99, I would still pick it up. Next up, we got Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, 75% off for $14.99. Now, the Legendary Edition with, I can't say all the content that's out so far is available for $29.99. There is the Dragon Ball Z Kakarot Daima Adventure Through the Demon Realm. That pack will be coming out, and that'll be $35. So, if you want to wait on DBZ Kakarot even longer and wait for like some super ultra complete edition in the year of 2028, maybe that'll be what you want to do. Daima's going to be a two-part expansion where the first part's coming out, I believe, in just a couple weeks, and then part 2 is going to be out in early 2026. But talking about the base game itself, I really did enjoy it. Long-time Dragon Ball fan, you could play Dragon Ball Z Kakarot and have that be your first foray into DBZ. It's just there is some cut stuff that's a little bit weird. Like, the entire Super Trunks, the juiced up Trunks versus Cell fight is totally just cut out of this game, which I found that was probably the most jarring one. That to me, I was just like, why is that cut out? Like, that was pretty consequential. I feel like that was pretty consequential to the story, like Trunks being addicted to bulking season and, just being mad slow. I love that fight, but nonetheless, cut out from this game. Overall, the game is still very, very enjoyable, and I would certainly recommend it. And they get most of Dragon Ball Z into an open-world RPG and do it pretty damn well. So $15 for that, I think, is a good deal. Next up, we have Red Dead Redemption 2, $14.99 on this. Legitimately one of my favorite games of all time, among, like, the top 3, at the very least the top 5. That is such a limited realm of games that, there's so many games out there. The Red Dead 2s, the Witcher 3s, and so on and so forth, the Metal Gear Solid 3s, that you're talking about very, very exclusive, highly esteemed games, and I would put Red Dead 2 in that category. I think this game, from a narrative standpoint, is tremendous. Yes, does it start off slow? Yeah, but it sets the table so well. One of the greatest main characters in video game history in Arthur Morgan. Visually, it looks phenomenal. Definitely recommended at $14.99, outstanding deal. I love Red Dead 2. Lastly, Death Stranding Director's Cut is $15.99. I had a great time with Death Stranding. Certainly not a game for everyone, but it is a game for me. Like, as far as what I like out of video games, Death Stranding hit all of those elements in terms of exploration, gorgeous world, narrative-driven, and yes, the narrative is a bit confusing. You might want to watch a recap video or a explanation video by the end, but it comes together nicely by the end. Soundtrack is amazing. Love Death Stranding. Again, for my taste in video games, like, Death Stranding is my cup of tea, and I had a great time with it, and for $15.99 I think it's a pretty good pickup. But that'll do it for me. Again, a lot of great deals across the board under the price of $20, but these games are a little bit heftier in price point, so keep that in mind, but some great stuff all around. That's going to do it for me. Let me know all of your thoughts in the comment section down below, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace out. Hey, what's going on, guys? Mush here again. Hope you enjoyed the video. As you guys might know, YouTube's notification system is sometimes a little bit wonky, even if you're subscribed to the channel. Maybe you're not abundantly aware that I uploaded a video. To remedy that situation, make sure you hit the bell notification button. This way, whenever I upload a new video, and I try to upload as consistently as possible, you will be notified directly of the upload, and you can watch it as soon as it goes live. I would really appreciate if you guys hit that button so you can stay up to date with all of the content I'm posting. But as always, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.